Coming up on this edition of NICB News, there are hot wheels and hot spots. We'll tell you which vehicles and cities made the top 10 list for vehicle theft. And we're talking boats and bikes. We have the numbers on which brands are among the top stolen ones every year.
I went to scream at my wife to say get in the closet, and it just was a loud explosion, and I looked up and there was this guy.
Plus, as storm season continues, we'll tell you how to avoid being scammed after the damage is done. That's all next on NICB News. Hello, I'm Roger Morris, and welcome to another edition of NICB News. There are plenty of new ones on the street, but it seems like the thieves keep going for the older models. Once again, in our annual Hot Wheels report, older model Hondas take the top spot.
The cars have been on the road for 20 years, and they remain the most stolen vehicles in the country. The National Insurance Crime Bureau's annual Hot Wheels report shows that once again, Honda Civics and Accords made in the late 1990s are by far and away the hottest target for car thieves. With more than 7,500 thefts of both the 1998 Civic and the 1997 Accord, these cars remain popular among thieves because they were some of the last models built without the anti-theft technology that was introduced in the late 1990s. By comparison, in 2016, there were less than 500 thefts of 2016 model Accords, a testament to the improvements in theft prevention by the manufacturers over the years. Only two 2016 models, the Toyota Camry and the Nissan Altima, had more than 1,000 thefts reported last year. While Accords and Civics dominate the overall theft numbers for all makes and models, pickup trucks from Ford and Chevy now rank third and fourth on the Hot Wheels list. Toyota Camrys and Corollas and Nissan Altimas are also on the top 10 list of all thefts. Thefts have gone up over the past 2 years, and the focus on anti-theft technology has been sharpened as reports of hacking increase. NICB's reporting of devices that are being used to unlock and start vehicles with keyless remote entries and push-button starts has prompted law enforcement to be aware of this new kind of theft, which leaves no evidence that a car has been taken unless it's caught on security video. NICB urges drivers to always lock their vehicle and take the key or fob with them. Leaving a car running or with the keys inside contributed to more than 57,000 thefts in 2015.
The latest NICB Hotspots Top 10 list has some newcomers, and a perennial top 10 market now holds the dubious distinction of the new number one metropolitan area in the country for vehicle thefts. In 2016, the area with the most vehicle thefts per 100,000 residents was Albuquerque, New Mexico, moving up from the number 2 spot, which is now occupied by Pueblo, Colorado. California cities make up 6 of the top 10 spots, with Modesto falling from the number 1 slot to number 4. Anchorage, Alaska saw a 67% increase in the number of thefts in 1 year and moved from 47th place to number 6. And Billings, Montana, whose population puts it at number 246 out of the more than 380 metropolitan areas in the country, moved up to 10th based on the theft rate. Overall, the preliminary theft report on vehicles for 2016 shows the largest increase in thefts in years, a 6.6% jump from 2015. Thefts have dropped dramatically since peaking at more than 1.6 million a year in the 1990s. They tumbled to fewer than 690,000 in 2014, but have risen for the past 2 years. While most of the larger metropolitan areas, particularly Los Angeles, account for over a third of the thefts in the country, only 2 areas, the Riverside, San Bernardino, Ontario area of Southern California and the San Francisco, Oakland, and Hayward area in Northern California, rank among the top 10 where your chances of having a vehicle stolen are the highest. To see where your city ranks and for tips on preventing vehicle theft, check out our website at www.nicb.org. If you live in California and ride a Honda motorcycle, the chances of having it stolen are high. That's based on statistics in the latest Motorcycle Theft and Recovery Report from NICB. Overall, thefts increased 2% since 2013. California once again holds the top spot for thefts, followed by Florida, Texas, then South Carolina and North Carolina. Honda remains the most stolen brand of motorcycle, with Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki, and Harley-Davidson rounding out the top 5. Although 2016 had a slight increase in thefts, overall motorcycle thefts are down 30% since 2006. Also increasing in 2016, watercraft thefts. They showed a 1% increase, reversing a multi-year downward trend. Florida holds the top spot once again, followed by California, Texas, Washington, and Louisiana. Most thefts occur during the spring and summer months, as you might expect, with July recording the highest number of thefts at 671. February showed the fewest number of thefts at 223 for the month. Tornadoes, windstorms, and hail pummeled the Dallas area this spring and set off warning signs to consumers about potential scam artists looking to take money from those affected by those storms.
I was standing there looking out the window and I saw about a 30-foot tree blow by this parking lot about 10 feet off the ground at about 60 miles an hour, I'm predicting. And I went to scream at my wife to say get in the closet, and it just was a loud explosion. And I looked up and there was this guy.
This homeowner experienced firsthand what thousands of victims in Texas have witnessed following a storm. A swarm of contractors going door to door, pressuring them to let them fix things.
It was still raining, had a big hole in my roof, as you can see. I had about 3 people show up immediately. I told them just to leave.
Fortunately, Jennings had learned from previous storm victims, and he did the right thing. He rejected those who came knocking, and he sought out a company that he knew had done reliable work in the area. He insisted on proof of workers' comp insurance from the contractor. He did not pay up front, and he got the job spelled out in writing before he let anyone go to work. He also contacted his insurance company to begin the claims process.
It's been more than 4 days since the storm hit, but the alarms are still sounding in the homes behind me. In the meantime, local authorities are sounding the alarm about the potential for fraudulent contractors coming into the area.
We've been to roughly 15 cities around the Metroplex, and the majority of those cities have implemented some of the recommendations if they hadn't already had them in place, such as contractor registration, including registering all the members of the crew and collecting license plate information, requiring permits for all roofing repairs, not just roofing repairs that include decking. So it's been a whole lot better. The solicitation requirements also. You want to solicit in cities, you have to have a solicitation permit usually issued by the police department.
The roofing contractors just showed up before we even had the streets cleaned. And it's really important for us and us to not have that type of activity going on in this county. I know after the Rowlett disaster a year ago, they just inundated them with contractors coming in. And I think it was important for us to look for guidance as to how we can prevent this. And I think y'all have been instrumental in giving us that information and us getting that information out over the internet to tell our citizens, you know, this is what you need to look for. These are the kind of things that happen.
Our command staff was quick to try to head off a lot of that by securing the worst hit areas and really taking time to vet the contractors who were showing up to be able to determine whether they were truly solicited by homeowners or if they're there just trying to either try to solicit business or even to commit a fraud.
While cities can take steps to slow down the scam artist, the hope is that state lawmakers will enact 2 pieces of legislation currently being considered in Austin to require contractor registration and to reform the current hail litigation process in the state.
Anything that can be done to protect the consumer on a state level, the legislators need to be looking at that really seriously. We prosecute cases, I wouldn't say on a regular basis, but pretty often regarding consumers that have been scammed by roofing contractors, landscaping contractors that come in, get a sizable down payment, and then just never even show up for the job. That's theft. The problem comes with prosecution when they get a sizable down payment, they come and do a little bit of the work, and now you've morphed it into a quasi-civil action that makes it very difficult to prosecute. And these scam artists are learning that.
Thieves used to rob banks to get their hands on some cash, but today there's a much more lucrative and less risky scheme for thieves. And that was the topic of the NICB's 8th Vehicle Finance Fraud Conference, co-sponsored by Ally Financial in Dallas. Today's car thieves are taking advantage of changes in technology and car buying habits. They shop for the cars they want to steal on the internet, and they use phony IDs to purchase them. The online shopping experience has created a whole new set of problems for the lending industry, which is already hard hit by fraudulent purchases from thieves who buy or lease a car with no intention of making the payments.
When we know that 85% of all of our car buyers use the internet and apply online, we never get to see them until they show up at the dealership. Again, car salesmen are not trained to be investigators. They are paid to get cars out, and they are paid as soon as that car leaves the showroom floor. I repeat, they are paid as soon as that car leaves the showroom floor. So if it is an identity theft, they're still paid. If it is a bad check, they're still paid, and it ends up on my desk.
Better training on how to spot fraud and better cooperation among lenders, dealers, and law enforcement is key to slowing down this growing theft problem. But the demand for cars built for the U.S. market continues to provide incentives for thieves to use credit or ID fraud to get their hands on a car here and then illegally export it to a willing buyer overseas.
You have a market around this world for the cars built and sold in the United States that is growing and growing. And the value of those commodities, those vehicles, sure, they're expensive in the U.S. Now ship those cars to some other country, to China, to Africa, South America. They're worth a whole lot more in those countries than they are here. So what does that present again? Opportunity.
And that's it for this edition of NICB News. We'll have another report for you in the fall. In the meantime, to see the latest on insurance fraud and news, just log on to our website at www.nicb.org or check out our Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram accounts. I'm Roger Morris. Thanks for watching.